football returns to Shotwell Stadium tonight against Northern Arizona. I'm Shani Morosky.
And I'm Grant Boone. They're the Lumberjacks, and they're okay, but can the Wildcats cut them down to size? We'll discuss today, and we'll look back at Parker McKenzie's award-winning performance in Game 1. It's the Ken Collums Show right now. Welcome to week 2 of the Ken Collums Show from the JMC Network studios here on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Grant Boone, along with ACU junior Shara Nemorowski and the head football coach at ACU, Ken Collums. Coach, last week you had the Wednesday night game, so 10 days between games. I've got to believe your team's champing at the bit to get back on the field. Given the way that last week's game ended, did it help to have an extra day just to kind of decompress and recover from that late flight home?
Well, first, just playing on Wednesday, being your first game after fall camp, that really doesn't matter, because in fall camp, guys don't even remember what day it is anyway. You show up, you work them, you meet, you eat, you have fun, you have meetings, and they don't know whether it's a Saturday or whether it's a Thursday. But so the Wednesday didn't really matter. Now, having to wait several more days before you get back on the practice field, no, I do not recommend that after a loss, because the biggest therapy that you get as a coach and as a team is to get back out on that field, because that's the only way to fix things. That's the only way to get better. And really, the best therapy is to go out and kick somebody's tail the next week. So we have to wait. We have to wait over a week to do that.
All right, Coach. Looking at the schedule, everyone can see the first few games are really tough. Northern Arizona was in the playoffs last season. What are your thoughts, expectations going into this game?
Well, the bottom line is we don't know how good they are. We don't know much about them. I mean, they're in Arizona, we're in Abilene, and so we don't play them every year. I don't even know when the last time we played them, maybe mid-90s or early 90s. So none of that really matters. But the bottom line is you want to go out and play clean. And offensively, we got to protect the ball, just like we always do. I plan on winning the turnover margin again, and that in and of itself gives you a chance to win the game. And you know, defensively, we're gonna have to tighten those things down and stop the run, because they're gonna run the ball, run play action. So we're gonna have to go out and play clean. It's not this big major formula this week, and I don't know that it really ever is. You just got to go out and play clean, and then whether we win the game, a lot of times that has to do with how good they are, and we'll find out.
It's a heck of a start. You get FBS to start, a playoff FCS team from last year, then you go next week to an FBS opponent in Troy. We'll worry about the Trojans a little bit later on.
Thanks for reminding me, though.
Sure.
That's good.
Just wanted to make sure you were on top of that. So a little later in the show, we will preview this game today against the Northern Arizona University Lumberjacks. But when we come back on the Ken Collums Show, we'll look a little more closely at Parker McKenzie's debut as a Wildcat quarterback. Stay with us, the Ken Collums Show. Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show. No game to recap from last Saturday. We did that on last week's show from the Wednesday game. But I do want to go back, Coach, and take a look at Parker McKenzie's first career start. He earned Southland Conference Offensive Player of the Week honors because of his performance. 30 of 40, 403 yards. And let's take a look at some of his highlights here. In fact, let's start with that opening drive. Let's look at each of the passes he throws here on this opening drive. 1st and 10, and his very first snap from scrimmage in his first start, he throws to DeMarcus Thompson over the middle for 13 yards. You trust him to make that throw over the middle?
Sure. We've seen it in practice, and that's basically a 3 vertical route. There's no short throws on that. He's throwing right over some big people, but we trust him to do that and trust him to make the right decision.
So as we go along here watching all of these passes, he threw 8 times on that opening drive, a 14-play drive that ended with a field goal. And he had some options, and by and large, he made good decisions, didn't he?
The entire first drive, he made really good decisions. You can see where a lot of them were play-action passes to where he puts the ball in Herschel's stomach and pulls it out and throws it. But the bottom line is all those decisions were the right ones, and all those passes were for the most part accurate passes. And there were some 3rd and 10s where we were getting blitzed, and that was really, really good to see him answer those 3rd and long blitzes.
Yeah, and throwing on the run with accuracy was impressive. He gets down near the goal line. You have a false start, so you have a second and a goal, a second and a third and goal from the 8-yard line. He tries to shuffle one kind of sideways to Jonathan Parker that looked like it had trouble written all over.
Sure, it was a little bit dicey, and that's you know, that's a rookie in there trying to do a little bit too much. You always have to train those guys. In their mind, when I get to the red zone, nothing crazy happens because you cannot take 3 points off the board. And with Nick Grau, we're going to have 3 points when we get down there close.
Yeah, and Grau kicked a field goal to open the season. I want to go to a play in the 3rd quarter that we're going to watch right now. Parker on a 3rd down and 9 runs right up the gut after not finding anyone open, takes a big pop. Batiste for them gets a 15-yard penalty and tossed from the game, but Parker gets right up. In fact, he's calling for the flag as he's doing it.
Sure. He knows to get down. Probably should have gotten down a little bit quicker, but when a guy's going to take a shot at you, you can't do anything about that but get out and protect yourself. But that showed a lot of poise, him being able to basically look down the barrel, take a shot, and then keep functioning like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, and he would go on later in that drive to throw a touchdown. In fact, let's take a look at his 4 touchdowns, beginning with that first one. You're down 14, to 3. Things aren't going so hot. 14-6 at the moment, and he goes over the top, 60 yards to Cedric Gilbert. It was a dangerous throw, and it was a heck of a catch as well by Ced. Sure,
we knew by their alignment what we were getting on 2nd down. We knew that would be a good play. Now he came out smelling like a rose. It was a little bit dicey, just like the shovel pass there in the red zone. But Cedric made a great play, and it was on the money. Throw was a little bit late, but it ended up being really good. And it's fun to watch a guy who's never scored before for your team to be able to run for 40 yards with nobody around. That's pretty cool to watch.
Right down the middle of the field. All right, now we've got 3rd quarter. You're down 21-16. He goes 23 yards to Jamie Walker, who emerged last year as a big scoring threat.
Sure. That was a really good play action route that Jamie runs well and that Parker's throws well. We've run that route around here for a long time, and you call it in the right spot and catch them in the right coverage, and you get the whole protection things works out, and Parker throws a strike. Boy, that was a beautiful throw.
Another great throw for another touchdown to Jace Hudson on a play that you called Jace on before it happened.
Oh, yeah. There was a timeout or something. We had some time to talk about it, and I'm like, all right, Jace, you want to score a touchdown? He goes, oh, yeah, Coach, just throw it up there. I'll go get it. And so we charged him up a little bit, and we got a little time to throw it, and Parker threw a strike, and Jace made a great catch.
He did in traffic. You mentioned that Parker got away with a couple. He didn't get away with one in the 4th quarter. You guys are up by 9 points, 2nd and 13 on their half of the field, the 32-yard line, and he throws the interception. Let's take a look at it and what happened on this play. People see the end result, but there was something before that you told me about.
Sure. We're moving the ball fine. We're in a good situation. We call a pretty safe play. What you see here is Parker's feet are a little bit late for that first throw. That's his first decision, whether to throw it to the guy right over the ball or not. He chooses, yes, to throw it to him, but his feet are telling him to throw it to the second guy. So the small things like that in quarterback play a lot of times end up in disaster. Nobody understands that, and nobody really sees that, but that is not even a half a count late, but that's how fine-tuned the passing game is.
Wow. Here's what I love, though. First career start playing in front of 50 or 60 family members in an NFL stadium. He's just thrown his first pick of his career. And what does he do? He comes back and engineers a 10-play, 75-yard touchdown drive that culminates in the touchdown to Cade Stone.
Sure, and along that drive, we trust him fully to answer, because we've seen it in practice. We've seen him throw a pick in practice, and we've seen him answer that. And so we were, we were all in with Parker McKenzie, and we knew he would come back and make good decisions and throw strikes, and that's exactly what he did.
A lot of what you told me about and what you've told me about for years since you've been coaching here, it's not just the play you make at the quarterback position, it's making sure you make the right decision before the ball's ever snapped, getting your linemen, getting your receivers, getting your backs in the right spots. He did a lot of good stuff in that regard on Wednesday.
He sure did. I mean, managing this offense, there's a whole lot to manage. It's not just go up and snap the ball. You're making sure everybody's aligned right. you're getting as much information from the defense as you can even before the snap, whether it's to change a protection, whether it's to spend a little bit longer with your eyes or your feet over here to the left side before you throw it to the right, and then after, and that's all before the snap. And then after the snap, hey, you better be on point, or if you're not, defensive backs are gonna make plays on the football, or you're gonna hold it too long and get pressure from the D-line.
Now, Parker wasn't the only first-time starter or newcomer to play well for you last Wednesday night. Let's take a look at some of the other newcomers to the Wildcat football team. Here's Sharon Nemorowski.
As a whole, we're looking pretty good. We got a lot of returners back, so we're looking very strong on the defense side of the ball. But at the end of the day, it starts up front. So as long as we're up front handling business, the back end is going to handle that business, and we have faith in our defense.
The team's looking good. Being a new guy, it's been a grind at some moments, but I say we're pushing through it day by day. It's going good, and I guess we're at the peak of the grind, and we'll keep going at it daily. Running to the ball, hustling, getting after it, and then offense, they're doing great too. Like I said, it's day by day practice. Getting full speed reps is the big key, but as it is, it's going good.
Offense is a big question mark this season, but running backs Herschel Sims and DeAndre Brown have shown they're up to the challenge.
It's been going pretty good. It's a lot of learning and a lot of young guys, but right now they're getting the hang of it, and everything's moving pretty well.
You have some experience under your belt, so how has that benefited you?
It benefits me a lot. It helps me out a lot. Now I actually know what I'm doing and the reason why I'm doing it, so I can help the young ones when they come and ask me questions.
All right, Shara, thanks. Well, Coach, your newcomers really did perform on a very big stage. Talked about A.J. Tolbert. Now, that's a guy that ACU fans are going to enjoy getting to know. His dad, Tony, was a Super Bowl winning defensive lineman for the Cowboys. And DeAndre Brown, with Herschel out, DeAndre got to the edge a couple of times.
He sure did. And he didn't have a great game,
Yeah.
and a lot of that had to do with their defense. But DeAndre, I was very pleased with DeAndre, and his kick return did really well.
Hey, Parker threw the ball 40 times, and with the inability to run very effectively, that defensive line had a chance to pin its ears back, and the linebackers blitzed as well, and yet your reworked, very young offensive line performed well, I thought.
You bet. You know, the two newcomers that come to mind, Chance Reekin and Riley Mayfield, those guys, their very first start here. They're brand new Wildcats in purple, and they've been here a year, but it's nothing like being out there playing. And they did a great job of keeping people off Parker.
Cody Funk at left tackle, a newcomer as well.
That's exactly right. Played really well.
There's a lot to be excited about with this bunch, and we'll get to see them again tonight when they play at home against Northern Arizona. When we come back on the Ken Collums Show, we'll head up to the JMC Network Sports Desk to see what's happening around the rest of the ASU sports world. But as we go to break, take a look at last week's scores from around the Southland Conference. This is the Ken Collums Show.
After 10 years as ACU's athletic director, Jared Mosley announced August 22nd he accepted a job as president and CEO of Texas Sports Hall of Fame in Waco. We were able to hear his thoughts on the move.
A very exciting opportunity when you consider sports in general in our day and age is just a big deal for fans and for people. It draws a lot of attention and a lot of excitement, and to think about being able to tell that story for the state of Texas, you know, they say bigger and better in the state of Texas, and so it's great to be able to be a part of an organization that gets to celebrate the very best of the sports atmosphere and realm. I think for me, the thing I'll reflect most on is the relationships. I think anytime what's been extremely special to me and my family is the opportunity to come back to a program that really is where I got my start. I learned a lot of things as a student athlete, had a lot of people pour into me personally over the years, and to be able to come back and help shape that experience and hopefully have built something that is a little bit better than when we came on board. You know, that's what I reflect on, is the lives that we've been able to change, and hopefully the perspective we've been able to give to the young men and women who have chosen to be here, that they leave here with a better understanding of ways they can impact the world around them and maximize the gifts that God's given them.
While ACU football had last weekend off, other Wildcat teams were hard at work starting their seasons. For more on how the Cats performed, here's Hannah Little.
The season openers for the soccer and volleyball teams are in the books. As for cross country and golf, things are about to kick off. Welcome to the JMC Network Sportscast. I'm Hannah Little. The soccer team won both of its games against Wayland Baptist and Texas Wesleyan University. ACU defeated Wayland Baptist 3-0 and went into overtime against Texas Wesleyan with a final score of 2-1. The volleyball team lost its first home game in 3 sets against UTA this past Tuesday. Coach Bibler talks about where the team lost the momentum and what the team plans to work on as it moves forward.
Well, they came at 21-20 in the first set. We made some mental errors and missed some balls that we should have had, and that carried over in the second set. Well, we got to keep pushing. We got to keep fighting. I think it was, even though I was disappointed in the girls that we let down at 21-20 in the first set, and obviously didn't really do much of anything in the second set, I was glad to see them fight back in the third set.
Will run in its first meet in Snyder today as the team competes in the West Texas College Open. Senior Daniel Block talks about his role as a leader for the young team.
The freshmen are all great. They're a lot of fun to run with. The other guys that are returning are also all a lot of fun. And we've really had a lot of fun as a team this year so far. We haven't even raced yet, and it's been good. So being in a position of leadership that I can mentor those guys, kind of show them what it means to be a college athlete and stuff like that. Anything I can show them that's going to help them in the future, I'll take advantage of that, and I'll do that for them.
Golf will also be starting up its season as the team will play on Monday and Tuesday at the Diamondback Golf Course. New head coach Tom Shaw talks about the transition into his new role.
Well, you know, I've been at a pretty high level of Division I and seen some great players, so I think what I'm going to bring is, hey, this is how the best players in the world do things on a daily basis, not just in a tournament setting, but how they practice, how they work out, how they handle themselves with the media, just around alumni. Here's how it's done at the highest level, so let's aspire to that, and let's make that part of our daily regimen.
Tune in next week for the latest update on your ACU sports. Thanks for watching the JMC Network Sportscast. I'm Hannah Little.
When we come back, we'll talk about this week in the Southland Conference and today's game as the Wildcats get ready to take on the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks.
As we welcome you back to the Ken Collums Show, take a look at today's schedule in the Southland Conference, and what a lineup it is. If anyone wondered, Coach, what kind of a league that ACU is stepping into, look at today's opponents. You got Texas A&M on the schedule, Baylor, Nebraska, Arkansas. I mean, this is something else, what these teams are facing today in the South.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting day for the Southland Conference, big-time competition.
Wow, LSU in there as well from the Southeastern Conference. So, Coach, let's talk about your opponent today as we get ready for ACU versus Northern Arizona University. It's the first time in almost 20 years that these two teams have faced one another. This is a team that went to the FCS playoffs a year ago, and it's a team with a veteran coaching staff. Jerome Sauer, 17 years. This is a program that knows what it's doing.
Sure. You win 9 games last year and go to the playoffs. You don't luck into 9 games.
Yeah.
You've got an operation, you know what you're doing, you have the pieces in place, and you've got enough depth to win that many games and to get to the playoffs. We'll have our hands full for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, you guys talked about Parker McKenzie a little earlier. How do you think our offense will do coming into this game?
Well, that'll be interesting, and I can't really tell you that because a lot of that is determined by first, their defensive line, which is quality. Their linebackers, big guys, really good tacklers. Their safeties are moving around. They try to keep them as close to the ball as they can. They're really good tacklers. So, yeah, we'll have to be sharp, and I think we'll be sharp. I have no reason to believe we won't go out offensively and play really well. We've got to figure out a way to run the ball. Last week we struggled running it a little bit, and that's one of the reasons we didn't win the game. Toward the end, we struggled running it. Things always work better when you run the ball. When you run the ball effectively, maybe not great, but if you have some success running the football, things get a little better. So we'll still try to be as balanced as we can. You know, run the ball, play action, a little bit of drop back, and we'll try to get Parker in a groove and keep him where he was last week. He for the most part, made really good decisions through accurate balls and made some plays for us, and for the most part didn't hurt us. Threw an interception there at the end, but you know, that's the key. When you're facing a good defense like we're about to face, you got to take care of your quarterback. You got to get the ball to your playmakers.
First home start for Parker McKenzie. That first start overall wasn't bad, 30 of 40 for better than 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Let's go to the other side of the football. Your defense was, going into the season, perceived as your strength. You brought back a lot of guys. I've got to believe they've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder after they had a 9-point lead with 6.5 minutes to go and couldn't finish the deal. How about what they're going to face from Northern Arizona's offense?
Well, they've got to put together 4 quarters of football. They didn't play well in the first quarter. Our defense didn't play well in the fourth quarter. The second and third quarter, they put together 2 really good quarters back to back and gave those guys some issues. So, you know, we've taken steps to fix the issues that we've had there in the first and fourth quarter. What the Lumberjacks are going to bring in offensively, they're going to use big people, a lot of different formations. They're going to line them up all over the place. Simply before the snap, our guys are going to have to get lined up, figure out where the strength is, how big of a strength it is. There may be 3 tight ends on the same side. Then they'll take those guys and shift them over. In all that in order to create matchup issues for us. So we're going to have to be really sharp, line up properly, and then we're going to have to be able to tackle because they're going to run and play action.
They've got some big receivers, too.
Yes,
A couple of guys that go 6'3", yeah.
All right, and then how excited are you to finally start the season at home in Shotwell?
Oh, I'm fired up. I mean, it's way better playing at home. You know, the Georgia Dome was awesome, but there's a lot of drama that goes with that. I mean, it's halfway across the country. I mean, I like Shotwell. I like being in Abilene around our own people, and there's excitement, and you know, we're ready to show Abilene and the big country what we can do here.
Yeah, 55th home season at Shotwell Stadium, and then of course only one more year next year before you move into the new digs. Hey, quickly before we go. We saw in the game on Wednesday night last week Herschel Sims go down with an injury. He didn't come back in. And then on that last drive, we saw Angel Lopez, your senior safety, go out. What, if anything, can you tell us about those 2 guys and anyone else who might be dinged up?
Yeah, Herschel will play. Okay. I don't know how effective he'll be at times. That'll be a game time decision whether we start him or give him the ball a little bit. But he'll be fine. It was just an ankle sprain. Angel Lopez went out with a concussion. He's fine. Due to protocol, he will not play this week, so but he'll be fine.
Well, Coach, it should be a lot of fun tonight. The home opener, Shotwell Stadium, ASU taking on Northern Arizona's Lumberjacks. Kickoff is set for 6 o'clock. Brandon Stover and I will have the pregame show beginning at 5:30 on the ASU Sports Network. You can listen locally on 98.1 FM The Ticket or around the world on ACUsports.com. Hope we have a big crowd out there tonight at Shotwell. For Sharon Nemorowski and for the coach, Ken Collums, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching the Ken Collums Show on K-Texas TV here in Abilene and on ACUoptimist.com. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll see you next week.